2026. Every block, every ballot, every voice. This ain't left or right. This is right now. OVC. Teachers, shit minds. Vets who stood strong. Gig workers hustling just to get along. Parents, elders, first time voters in line. Same clock ticking, same moment in time. No dark money whispers. No backroom deals. Daylight choices and the truth that's real. Labels don't own us. We bigger than signs. Accountability lives where democracy thrives.
Our vote counts. Yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains. Let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts. Stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains. Let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we
Clear facts, no spin. Education unlocked. Breaking down the process from the door to the box. Who earns the trust? Who shows up to serve? Asking the questions. Leaders got nerves. Neighborhoods talking. Town halls packed. Local voices first. Yeah, we built it like that. Different faiths fused, so walking as one. Democracy stronger when we all get it done. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From coast to coast, let the movement expand. Power in the people, future in our hands. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. When we show up informed, that's what it's all about.
This ain't no cycle. Nah, this is a standard. Long-term vision, principles planned. From schools to the boards, up to the higher seats. We connect the dots from the block to the streets. Peaceful power, respect and demand. Integrity measured by actions, not plans. OVC active, participation mounts. When the people stand ready, turnout counts. Yeah.
Our vote counts, yeah, remember the name. Every voice heard. We don't play no games. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found. Our vote counts, stand tall, no doubt. Integrity first. Let the people speak loud. From the city to the plains, let freedom resound. Different stories, same future. United we found.
Every voice,
Every voice,
every vote.
every vote.
Integrity, inclusion, accountability. OVC.
OVC.
Yeah. 2026. My vote counts. And so does yours.
Happy Friday, everyone. Welcome to our second town hall tonight. Glad everybody is doing well. Well, I hope everyone is doing well. So as you come in, go ahead and do your typical checklist that I always talk about when we're up here, which is share the live out to anyone who would love to hear this conversation, repost it, add it to your story. Also, send out your daily heart me if you haven't done so. Also, we have only less than 1,000 likes. So for those who are already in here 5 minutes prior, go ahead and start power tapping so we can go ahead and get on that FYP as quick as possible. Thank you all for being here thus far. We really appreciate your support. Every person that's in this live matters. Every power tap matters. So go ahead and do that. That way we can quickly get on the FYP. As we said before, we know that the midterms are coming up really, really soon. There are primaries coming up very, very soon for a lot of states in the month of March. A few states in particular that will be doing the primaries for March is Texas and I think Arkansas, from what I remember. There are a few that I don't know off the top of my head, but please make sure you check your voter registrations. Sometimes it's a little funny business that go on depending on the state. Just make sure your voter registration is active. But in the meantime, hi Risa, how are you? How are you feeling today?
I'm doing fine. Long week. I feel like I'm just glad that this is the end of it.
Absolutely.
Long
Happy
week.
Saturday Eve.
Yes.
Yes.
How are you?
Absolutely. I am good. I'm glad it's Friday myself. And I am looking forward to a lot of candidates that we have coming up in the next couple weeks. I am looking forward to the roundtable we will be having on Sunday. We have a lot of candidates who have agreed to the accepting the invitation on joining the roundtable. So that will be fun to hear about their opinions and thoughts about current events that are going on in the past couple weeks since the last time we had our town hall and our roundtables. So I think that will be a good discussion. So in the meantime, while we waiting on the candidate to come up, how is everybody feeling? Give me a thumbs up if you felt like the most recent committee hearings with Pam Bondi, and there were a couple of committee hearings with Attorney General Keith Ellison from Minnesota. That happened. There were a couple cabinet members from the administration that were there being questioned as well. So just give me a thumbs up or thumbs down on how you felt about the committee hearings. Do you feel like, did you learn anything from it, or do you feel like it was you just kind of indifferent on the matter? So just give me a thumbs up or a thumbs down on how you felt after you watched a couple of those committee hearings this week, because there were a few. It wasn't just the one that everybody has been known about with Pam Bondi. Okay, yeah, I see a lot of thumbs down. How did you feel about it, Risa?
I'd rather not talk about it.
I understand. It was a lot. It definitely was a lot.
Yeah.
I say that it was okay. We have the candidate here. Hello, Joseph. How are you? We're gonna put you on the big screen.
Good. How are you?
I am good. Do you have the graphic that we sent to you?
I do. I preloaded it, so it should be up.
Okay. Let us know if you need any help.
Thank you.
Turning on the background. Let me know.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I am surprisingly not as tech savvy as I'd like to be for my age, so sometimes.
Okay. Do you see a camera icon?
I do.
Okay. Once you click on that, it will roll out a tab called Effects. Click on Effects and scroll to the first green screen option, which is a green screen with a window and an arrow down. That should be the first one you can select. After that, it will prompt you to open up your camera roll, select the background that is in your camera roll or your gallery. And then after that, click Save. Yes, then click Save once you get the graphic of your choice.
You got it. Sorry, I did it in a test live, but I guess it didn't save.
So yes, once you select the background, click Save. That is the most important thing, and then it will load onto the screen.
All right.
Okay?
Yes. Oh. Effects. Nope.
And do you see the green screen option?
I see
Okay,
the
now you have a camera on. That's the first. Okay. We can see you. Now you can click on the first green screen option. Do you see it? It's like a green background. It's like a bright green background with like a window and like an arrow down of option. Do you see that?
No, that's not on here. Bunch of other effects, but not that. I saw it on the test live, but it's now this window looks different.
Okay. So
Apologies.
it should have been there.
Yeah, it should be.
It's like one of the first green screen options. If not, if you could just drop down and come back up. Sometimes it doesn't load properly.
Yeah.
It's up to you.
Come back.
Okay,
yeah, can I just
and we'll
rejoin?
bring you back up.
Right, thank you.
Yes, and okay. Right. We'll drop you down, and then you can come back up and see if it loads properly then.
Perfect. I'll return.
Okay, everybody. So good job thus far. We have about 3.6K. So while we're trying to get Joseph's camera going, be sure to go ahead and power tap. Let's see if we can get about 5K before we get started with the town hall. So Joseph, I don't see you. I'm gonna see if I can find you in the viewer. Okay, let me request you up. Okay, somebody already requested you. You just have to accept it, and then you'll come back up on the panel so we can guide you on how to turn on your graphics from the camera. So Joseph, I see that you're in here. Can you accept the invitation? If you don't see the invitation, just click on the people icon on the screen, and that should send the invite. Okay, let's see. Because it says invited. So Joseph does have the invitation. Okay. Yes, Joseph, if you're still in here, just accept the invitation that we sent you to come back on the panel. If not, just click on the two people icon at the bottom of your screen, and we should see you to bring you back up, because I don't see you in the guest queue. Okay, I see you now, so I'm gonna bring you up. Okay, can you hear us now?
Yeah, I can hear you perfectly. I should be back.
Okay.
And I just tested it again in the other live, and I think I saved it. So it should
Okay.
function in the practice live. It was there. The heads-up display was there in the other one. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm derailing a good night. I apologize. We'll get things back.
Hey, practice makes perfect. So
True.
let's see if you can. Yes.
Yeah, it's doing
So,
the
but you
same
do see
thing.
the green screen icon. I'm sorry, the green screen option
No,
in the
I don't.
effects.
I see effects. I don't see green screen.
It does. It's not going to say it as a word to find, but you will see a bright green screen
No.
in the effects. Do you see that with like a window with like the sun in the window? And do you see that?
No. I'm looking for
Do you
it.
see any type of green screen option?
I mean, I
But
see
make
a
sure you
lot
turn your
of,
camera on first.
I see a lot of different effects, but not
Okay.
that.
So can you scroll to the left?
Yes.
Oh, you have the option.
All right.
Okay,
I
but
think
it's
I
not
have
showing.
them.
Yes,
There we
that's
go.
perfect.
I can learn things.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Well, you got it now.
Hi, everybody.
Hi. So, all right. So welcome everybody to Our Vote Counts Town Hall. I am one of your moderators, Jazz B. And below me is Risa. She is also one of the moderators for tonight. So hello, Risa. How are you?
I'm doing well. It's been a long week, like I said. And it's been cold here. Now it's supposed to get warm.
Oh goodness. Oh well, that's good that you're getting some type of weather break in Ohio. So that's great. But for those who are not
Yes.
familiar with Our Vote Counts, we are a nonpartisan coalition of citizens from diverse states and backgrounds united by a shared commitment to empowering voters and promoting candidates who stand for integrity, inclusion, accountability in the upcoming elections. Formed by collective educators, veterans, small business owners, students, and community advocates, Our Vote Counts represents the strength of unity across geography, race, and ideology. While our stories are different, our mission is the same: to ensure that every voice is heard and every vote truly counts. Our Vote Counts is more than just a name, it's a promise, it's a movement, and a rallying cry for democracy. Together, we are shaping the future, one informed vote at a time. So tonight, we are joined by Joseph Perez-Caputo. Joseph is a Democratic candidate running for the U.S. House of Representatives in Connecticut's 4th Congressional District. That covers most of towns and cities such as Ridgefield, New Canaan, Stamford, Greenwich, Trumbull. I hope I said that right. Trumbull. Is that Trumbull?
Trumbull, yeah.
Okay. Monroe, Norwalk, Fairfield, and Bridgeport. So with that being said, as we're doing the town hall, we'll be talking about Joseph's background, his vision for the district, and of course, taking your questions. So Joseph, for the format of this town hall, after each set of topic questions, I will allow one person to come up and ask you a question. If we don't have anyone in the queue, I will pick some questions out from the chat for them to ask you. And then it's kind of a rinse and repeat process after that. But just to kind of break up the monotony from the topic questions, we will throw out some rapid fire questions for you. So the first set will be more political in nature, and then the last set of rapid fire is more fun. Okay? And also be mindful of the TikTok friendly language, because we have been getting more like restrictions and warnings. So I wasn't sure if you've gotten an email regarding that. Okay.
I did.
Right, cool.
I perused it, and I'm going to try and self-monitor, because there's definitely been some new things, too, that you're not allowed to say.
Absolutely. The
Trying to
rules
be
have
on-
definitely been more strict in being applied to the terms. Okay, so Joseph, we've learned that you were born in Stamford, Connecticut, with Sicilian and Puerto Rican roots.
Yeah.
You are a working class progressive and a law student who also works as an actor. That's interesting. Your background is defined by extensive community service, including volunteering for veteran organizations, food pantries, and local cleanup efforts. So while you're running for Congress on a platform of anti-oligarchy and accountability and advocating for the removal of corporate money from politics and the abolition of ICE. So once again, thank you for joining us. But I do want to ask you an icebreaker question since we're in the spirit of Black History Month. As a candidate with the roots of being Sicilian and Puerto Rican in the state of Connecticut, and specifically around the Puerto Rican community, has been such a major backbone and a labor force for decades, specifically when it comes to working the fields such as, I'm going to say the word Tabasco, but it's not really the word for TikTok friendly, of Hartford, Connecticut corridor in the urban centers. But you carry a unique cultural legacy. And in the spirit of Black History Month and the Afro-Puerto Rican trailblazers who fought for labor rights in Connecticut, can you tell me, how does your own heritage shape your working class approach to dismantling the economic barriers while still it's still affecting Black and Brown communities disproportionately in the 4th District today?
Absolutely. There are a couple of ways to answer that, and I'll try and be as focused as I can. First off, my melanin does not match my genetics, so it's difficult to talk with people when I look like an ICE agent. And yet, I am what I am. So in the spirit of Black History Month, I can learn about someone like Fred Hampton, but I come from Pedro Albizu Campos, and taking that in stride and being my sincere self brings something that can't be faked. And so when I'm walking around and I'm talking with the community, there's that first trust barrier, because at the end of the day, a lot of people have come out looking like me, sounding like me, promising them something, and then they've again and again and again failed them. And I want them to feel and know that it's different this time. Connecticut has a wide range of backgrounds. We've had a ton of working class from the beginning. And if you name any major thing from the dawn of the country, anything that had Boston and New York in it, we were right there. We don't always get the credit. But also New York's right there. So when people came and immigrated to the country, when my family fled economic hardship in Puerto Rico brought on by U.S., I don't want to say the word that starts with like imp, but I'm not sure if I'm allowed to say that or not. But U.S. policy forced my family to try a new road. They were in poverty. You know, they had succeeded in agriculture for hundreds of years, even under Spanish. Can I say colonization? I'm not even sure what I'm allowed to say anymore.
Say colonization, imperialism, yes.
Yeah, perfect. So, you know, that family came to New York to Stamford, which is 30 miles away. So anything that's in the immigration story of New York is in the immigration story of my district. We're right there. But so is the wealth, so is the money, so is, I've been on gardening jobs where people talk to me like I'm the boss and I'm the lowest ranking person on the gardening job. And I'm talking to my boss in Spanish, being like, yo, you want me to call her out? Like, what do we do? So in this district, you have passive and active racism. You have passive and active imperialism. You have people who don't quite always understand that they're part of the problem. And being able to help them understand that is pivotal. But then you also have people who've lived and worked and suffered and died under the same false promises for, at this point, this Congress will be 250 years since 1776, right? So we have a unique multicultural district that has been forgotten, that has been ignored. We're used as a presidential piggy bank. I mean, even I think yesterday, Hakeem Jeffries came to Connecticut for a fundraiser and to endorse a 12 or 14-time white male incumbent. Touted he was from Brooklyn, right? But he didn't talk to voters. He didn't talk to young Democrats. He didn't talk to young energy. And he didn't stop in Bridgeport, right? That has a massive multicultural population. He didn't stop in Norwalk. He didn't stop in Stamford. He didn't stop and talk to the Haitian community who's scared about the TPS, temporary status protection, being taken away. He didn't talk to Boricuas and Mexicans and Venezuelans when ICE agents are in our streets. They're here. They're taking people away. So, this district has been forced into a level of invisibility that it never deserved. And our story is so shared with people right around us, but we're forgotten about because we're also quite literally in a form of this economic segregation. And our narrative has sort of been taken. So a big part of my campaign is to match my district and be like, listen, we've always been here. We've always been like this. We've always been true to ourselves. And now we want our story told.
Absolutely. And thank you for sharing that. Because I think that, there is a lot of deep roots within the state of New York itself, but people forget that a lot of people who live in New York tend to migrate in surrounding areas such as Connecticut and Delaware and Pennsylvania. So knowing that there's also deep roots within the Puerto Rican and the Black community, I never knew. So I'm glad that you highlighted that. And just to ask you one follow-up question regarding Black History Month, do you have any notable figure that stands out to you that motivated you as a leader in your community?
In my personal life, or in my community, or that I've read about?
Anyone that stands out to you. Mm-hmm.
I have a friend of mine. I won't say her full name because she deserves anonymity too, but her name is Nerline. She's my age. She's in law school with me. Proud Haitian woman. Kicking the snot out of law school. Better grades than me, right? She's been getting very into Irish history. And so she studied Irish history and Haitian history and the shared connection of kind of fighting off the Ireland fighting off the English, Haiti fighting off the French. And just watching her bloom as a person and just be joyful and run around. I can't be here and talk with you and it be Black History Month and me not shout out the girl. She inspires me every day to just be better. She's not like a parental figure or a leader. She's definitely my sister, but she's someone I love a lot. And when I first told her I was thinking of doing this, she laughed at me, which is how you're loved. And then we talked about it for real, and she was like, "Yeah, you can do it." But she made me earn it. She was very honest. So she's one of the strongest women I know.
Absolutely, that's beautiful. I appreciate you sharing that. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and roll into the first topic of tonight, which is economics. So I'll roll that over to Risa.
Okay. Thank you for that, Jazz. So the first question is, eviction filings have increased across the state, including in urban areas like Bridgeport. So what role should the federal government play in preventing families from falling into homelessness due to rising costs?
There's a lot the state government needs to be doing. The federal government can support them by actually putting policies on the table that honor the life of people who are going through that. I think a lot of times the federal government gets so lost in the abstract, or they get so lost in, I'm in Washington and I need to power broke and I can't advance this idea because I need to level scale over here. And they kind of lose touch with the reality that while they're doing all that, people have to pay rent, people have to eat, people are getting their rights taken away or they're getting disenfranchised, people living in the gray areas of the law that are happening because they're pushing that court case, so they're waiting for that person to retire because they're busy politicking. They're not actually being the liaison to the state government and their community. And that's what the House of Representatives is about. It's supposed to, in theory, through federalism, be more loyal to its community and its district than the federal government, right? Like they were very scared of having many of the situations we've had in this country. Not that I have many positive things to say about many of the minds we read about that dawned our legal system. But the one thing they took very seriously is that the community needed to have a voice in the federal government or it was not going to work. And on that very specific thing, they were right. So I think one thing that federal government can do is not forget that you live in the neighborhood you live in. This is not just your house on this street. There's a community here. There's a church down the block or a synagogue or a mosque down the block. There's history here. Who lived here before you? What kind of policies benefit the people who are here? when COVID happened, for example, just because I know I can get lost in everything I want to shove into an answer and that's not very organized. When COVID happened, within the first couple of months, by June, we had 40 to 60 changes of address. 40 to 60,000 people fled New York and changed address to Fairfield County alone. The affordable housing didn't increase. The minimum wage didn't increase. We were already going through a housing crisis. It's a fabricated scarcity for shareholder value, but we were already having a housing crisis. But now we just had way more people coming in and they had capital. If you already owned a house, your equity went up. But if you were doing everything right and you were saving and you were trying, you lost. And when the federal government forgets that it's built by people, it can't fundamentally, A, support its community, which is the point. Like, politics be dang, right? The point is you're the people you live and breathe next to. But then it can't support the system itself. We can't make the system work if we're not trying. So one thing tangibly the federal government can do economically is stop catering to larger capital. It's been a 50 or 60 year experiment. We can all acknowledge trickle-down economics never was real. Let's just call it what it is. Some people are generous, but if you give the biggest billion-dollar company a $150 million tax write-off, you really need to be able to prove that it's going to benefit the community. Are they hiring local? Are they shopping at the local deli? Is it actually going to be beneficial for the mom and pops? Or did the mom and pops already get kicked out and there's a, no offense to any brand, but, you know, like a brand there? Has it been gentrified already? Right? Evictions have gone up because people can't qualify for rent. People kick you out if you don't make enough money. The wages aren't going up. Inflation is going up. And a lot of that happens at the federal level. The local government can be the levees, right, that stop the water from coming in. They can fight back against bad federal policy. But if the federal government isn't doing what it's supposed to be doing, it'll overload that buttress, and that buttress will break. So I believe homelessness and all these evictions and the cost of living, this is bad policy. This is a failure of policy. I don't think this is a reality of the world. I don't think this is a real scarcity. They're constantly building luxury apartments that are way more than what a normal working class person around here makes. The luxury apartment is a beautiful dorm room. Architecturally, I'm not so sure it's even housing, but it's a beautiful dorm room for someone who works 100 hours a week at a firm, right? You're making serious choices on who you think deserves to live here. And at some point we have to look at a policy and say, I see a personality in this. I see what you're doing. And being afraid to call that out. And I don't think we have we don't have many current federal representatives who will say that and look people in the eyes and be like, I think this is going to kill people. People are going to freeze because of this concession. Children are going to go hungry because of this compromise. And I want to be that change because I'm tired of it.
Okay, thank you. So my next question, and this, your last answer is kind of a segue into this, because Trump frequently claims that he's built the strongest economy. However, wages aren't necessarily keeping up with the rising costs. So how would you define a strong economy?
Thank you. That is one of the biggest aspects of my campaign. I'm 33 years old. My entire life, I have heard, we have a great economy. It's great. Economy's up. I've created X amount of jobs. All right, but over here, this person doesn't have more dollars in their pocket. Over here, this kid can't do that dance class they're excited about. This sports team goes without proper safety gear. This school's cutting its arts program. For a wealthy nation, especially one that's extracting so much from other nations in order to exist, why is this happening? Right? When we talk about what a good economy means, I believe a good economy means no one starved to death, no one froze, no one got evicted, right? That people who are working feel like they can afford to live and enjoy the fruits of their labor. I don't believe a good economy means, great, my billionaire friends technically raised the GDP. Okay, because 14 families lost their homes this week and I had bought X amount of shares of this bank, my shares went up. So I have a good economy. A good economy for who is the great question I ask in my campaign a lot. And I like to not give an answer because we all feel it. We know immediately. You know if it's a good economy for you and not for your neighbor. You just feel uncomfortable admitting it. And it's okay to admit that. But then you can say, listen, how can I now choose equity? If I'm in that good standing because of this economy, what can I do? The president saying that he's created the biggest robust economy is like me saying my hair looks like John Stamos. Just doesn't make sense. Call it what it is, right? My hair is different. So I think a good economy is ultimately described by your average everyday person breathing, feeling relatively okay, not worried that the next medical bill or the next mistake, or even if they do everything perfect, the next pilfer, the next person coming for them is going to stop them from doing what they need to be doing in life and make them feel unsafe.
Okay. So the next question is, an Urban Institute study found that racial income and housing gaps in Fairfield County cost the region billions in lost economic potential. What steps would you take to ensure economic policy benefits all communities and not just the wealthiest towns?
I think one of the first things I would do is utilize the strengths that I have. My years as an actor and my years working with local community theaters in this district means I have a basic understanding of how many billions of dollars are left on the table. This district has been a place where Paul Newman has lived and big celebrities have lived, but it's been harder for a working actor to live here and then go to the city and get their work. So what I would love to do is create either some sort of tax incentive, build up the facilities so that films can shoot here, whether it's in this district or in another one of the Connecticut districts, make sure more films can come here because it's billions and billions of dollars that are off the table. And in all of my time acting and all of my time performing, whatever it is, any art, I have seen so much excellence all across the racial lines. But that doesn't stop systems from being what they are. So some people who deserve to make it aren't. And I think that having more opportunity here, rewarding the excellence that's here, building on the apparatus that's already here. Artists are already here bringing in revenue. They're doing good work. Celebrating that, elevating that. I think bringing that here and not being silent about it would be huge. That's just one example, of course.
There's a question in the comments, and someone wants to know if you can zone the luxury apartments to be mixed use, like have a percent of it affordable housing. What are your thoughts on that?
I love that idea, and I want to take it farther. I would also love to make any kind of loan or any kind of lease with these apartments have something that's an ethical offload option. So for example, I want people to be able to own the property they're living in, right? So I would love for zoning to be that none of these big hedge funds can own residential property because that stops every hard worker from being able to own their own home. So in order to get these companies to offload that and comply with the law, let's say we give them 7 years or 5 years, right? To make sure every single unit they have is offloaded. That means, okay, I've been paying rent for 4 years. Cool. 3 of those are going to my principal. I'm now 3 years deep into home ownership. I'm renting to own, or I'm finding my way through. There are a couple of different theories that go back 100, 150 years. A lot of it isn't even reinventing the wheel. It's digging up all the voices that have been silenced. We have a lot of options at our disposal. So I love that idea, and I'm going to approach it with yes and, right? It's a great idea, and how can we build a garden around it? Like, how can we do more? Because I would love to see a version of the United States where most of us have property. If we so chose to pursue that. Some people want to vagabond. I've vagabonded. It is fun. You do your romantic poet years, but sometimes you want to have a house or an apartment or something, right? And if you work for it, you should get it, period. And all too often you have bigger companies that make it impossible.
Okay, good. And I have one more question from the comments. Are the evictions happening in specific zip codes where you're at, or like where are people like losing their jobs?
Yeah, so my district has a ton of different industries. Some of them are hedge funds and tax and law and right and medicine, and some of them aren't. Some of them are just working folk, and we tend to conglomerate in Stamford and Norwalk and Bridgeport. So the evictions are always going to be there more because it's where the working class are trying to afford their lives. I have long said that this district is partially, if not completely, economically segregated. And it is. And you see that overlap. So the evictions tend to be there. It tends to be people like me who, unmarried, single income, going out, you go to work, whatever, hard times. And then you know how it is. When you're hit hard, you're hit even harder. And it happens to the same communities again and again and again. And we're fighters here. We don't even complain. We get up, we do it again. Should we have to? I don't think so. At a certain point, you just get arthritis. You don't get character development. People deserve to enjoy their lives too. So it is disproportionate. It is disproportionate to the familial cities. Not that there isn't poverty in other aspects in all the other towns as well, but Massachusetts has Boston, right? New York has New York City and Albany. Connecticut has like 4 or 5 big cities. Right, we have Hartford and Danbury and Bridgeport and Norwalk and Stamford and New Haven. We have a couple of big cities. My district happens to have quite a few of them. So you see that congealment, you see that clustering.
Okay, thank you. So I'm going to hand it over to Jazz because the next topic is the environment. Thank you.
Yes. All right. Thank you, Risa. So specifically regarding the environment, we understand that funding is very, very important, but particularly when it comes to the Trump administration, they have proposed repeated budget cuts, which have reduced the funding to like national parks. And I'm sure national parks in your state has been devastatingly affected. So my question to you is, how would your approach be different when it comes to protecting public lands as a public trust?
I'm going to try not to answer the way I want to because I am very angry about everything going on. I would be much more vengeful and much more aggressive in protecting our parks. I do believe that it was just allowed to happen. And I'm very upset at how much that was allowed to happen. A lot of people forget that a lot of these public parks have happened naturally over decades and decades and decades from multiple parties. And a lot of people forget that Teddy Roosevelt started a lot of the national parks, and he was one of the famed Republican presidents. So this is a bipartisan issue. We should all agree on preserving the environment and preserving our public parks. I would be much more aggressive. In the first place, I wouldn't have allowed us to lose it at all. Secondly, my district is coastal. Bridgeport to Greenwich, every town touches the sea. There's northern woods that are landlocked, but most of my district touches the Long Island Sound. So when the water table from all of those districts down from all the buildings rises, those are all going to flood more, plus the sea flooding more. So not only are a lot of those south ends historically, neighborhoods that didn't have as much money, which means they've joined this cycle of violence and gentrification, and now they're some of the up-and-coming neighborhoods. So now you have working folk who are going to lose money because of environmental impact, and you have rich folk who are never going to get their investment returned because they've spent multi-millions of dollars on this thing that in 20 or 30 years is going to undergo water damage. What you have is a large portion of the population that's looking down the barrel of something they can't fix. Economics and ecology are rooted. You cannot benefit while extracting. You have to work with the land. So my answer to this is we need to get back on track with working with Mother Nature. I was a gardener for many, many years. I'm fully aware that half of my district is perfectly landscaped, and if a human being disappears for 2 weeks, there's going to be vines everywhere. I've seen the true face of my district's ecology. It's wetland. It's wetland that's been scaped. It's a lot of very beautiful marsh and wetland that has been transformed and terraformed. We are going, at this point in time, we look very neutral and we look very calm in the face of climate change. We won't be. Our district specifically is going to be very, very prone to water damage, very, very prone to loss of life, and very, very prone to economic damage. And that is a bipartisan thing we can all agree we need to stop before it happens. We didn't, so now we have to fix it.
Absolutely, and thank you for that. And more in depth, specifically when it comes to the wetlands, I learned that Connecticut is one of the leaders when it comes to offshore wind initiatives. And there's a project called Revolution Wind, which is dealing with the impact on rising costs, specifically when it comes to fishery. I hope I'm saying the term right, but when it comes to the fishing industry in Connecticut, it's definitely affecting a lot of coastal areas within your state when it comes to residents being concerned. But my question to you regarding this matter about the wind project and just wind energy and how important it is do you support the expansion of offshore wind projects in the Connecticut coast? And if you were to lead this particular project, or if there is anything that's existing that can continue this on, how would that impact the electrical rates also within the residents, specifically when it comes to like construction costs and having residents being putting them the foot off the bill, basically?
So
How would that be?
yeah, no, absolutely. I believe in green energy. I think it's the right way to go. Coal, it's going to run out and it's been kind of hurting us. Whether it's wind or solar or many of the other options, I think that's the way to go. Wind, specifically, is something that when it's developed, I would want to see the architectural plans to make sure it's not disrupting the water table, not hurting local fauna or flora, all the good stuff, all the prep that you need to do to make it built the right way. Get some public comment. You know, there's going to be someone who says not in my backyard, and it's like, okay, ma'am, it is in the distance, and it's going to lower your bill by a couple bucks. Is it unseemly? Let's talk about it. I would talk about it. But one of the biggest things I would want to ensure is that it be a public works, public benefit project. All too often, outside investors are invited to front the cost so that the community or the government or whatever doesn't have to, but then it's semi-privatized. I would want what we build to be economically and ecologically sound for the benefit to be immediate in our communities. We see that it works with the land. It's not invasive onto the land. But I also want every citizen to have it. It means if we've built something in the community, you should get lower bills for it. Right now, we kind of see the inverse with data AI centers. Anywhere they're built, the costs are being not sent to the company, but to the people who live there. I want to see the inverse of that. We build green energy? Cool. That $100 bill that you pay every month, congratulations, it's $94. Hey, we fixed this and made it better over these last 6 months of learning. Now that 94 is an 82. Hey, now it's been a couple of years. We built a few more. Congratulations. Your $100 bill from 5 years ago, adjusted to inflation, is $23. That's what I want to see. The cost of living fixed by living in communion with industry and ecology. So anything I would support with wind would have to hit that ratio for me. Yes, I blanket support it, but I don't want people to just drill in and make a ton of mistakes and botch it, because then people are going to be hurt by the idea. And then it's going to be harder to get that idea out. So I would want to make sure we do it right.
Absolutely. Thank you for that. Okay, so I do see a question in the chat. Someone asked, how would you make industries, what industry should Connecticut be investing in long term? I'm not sure if this is more of an economic part or the environmental, but however way you want to answer that question, that's fine. But someone had that question.
So I have my own personal biases, just as someone who's lived here, right? I would love to see the arts be championed, film, theater, the whole nine. Supporting not only the artists and arts that are here, but also building the facilities for larger films to come in and shoot. George is a great example in some of the things they've done. Another would be farming. I would love to support the Connecticut farmer. I would love to support micro farms. So even if you only have a 20 by 20 or 30 by 30 or one, whatever room, if you're following the proper laws and, you're doing permaculture and you're doing something that's safe, you can create your own micro farm. I want to be able to empower normal people to start that business for themselves, to work with their own seeds. And that's going to eliminate food deserts. And if you pair them with a local CSA or a local pantry or local mutual aid, now all of a sudden it's not just someone's private business that they're doing from the sweat of their brow to kind of change their fate. They're directly benefiting the community, using their wisdom, using their ability to work with the earth. Some people can do that inside in a greenhouse. Some people have a lawn and can do that outside. And that's another industry I would love to see. More we see the farmers markets. I want you to be able to go into a storefront and this is her storefront and there's the garden and you see it and it's there. That's something we haven't seen that, and it's there and it's waiting to be created. So film, farming and ecology, eliminating food deserts. I would also just love to see more solar, love to see more green energy. I would love to see a pipeline program where youths who aren't quite sure what they want to do can get a 2-year degree in green energy and learn how to fix and design these things. Because then if you want to do that for your own farm and get away from the world, you got the skill. But if you want to build the industry up, you've got the skill. Just something to give to people, even if it's a certification for high school students, just something that gives everybody that potency. I think we're sitting on a lot of talent here that isn't being given its due respect. This generation, the last couple of generations come out of Connecticut, should be given some due respect. So those are just 3. I would love to see more green energy and engineering, right? Through that, would love to see more of the arts and humanities championed here that are already here and developed. And I would love to see micro farms. I would love to see, that bloom in a way that I don't think anyone's really tried yet, and I find very exciting.
All right, thank you for that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and roll it back over to Risa to talk about healthcare.
So, research shows abortion restrictions disproportionately harm low income people and women of color. How do you view reproductive rights as an economic justice issue as well as a healthcare issue?
I think that, and I just want to leave a little floor space to acknowledge this. I don't believe that men should have a say in this. Unfortunately, what I believe and how the world is don't match. These kinds of things I think should be decided only by those who have to bear that responsibility or that burden, who have to go through what they have to go through. Be all that as it may, I think that it is ultimately the person who has the uterus's right to choose. It is their right to receive health care, receive life-saving, am I allowed to say abortion? Am I allowed to say that?
You're supposed to say AB, but I said it first.
There. That's why I was like, wait, my memory dictates. I'm about to make a mistake. Yeah, I think it's, sometimes people don't get a call, right? Medically, they need to have an AB to save their own lives, right? It's not just choice. Sometimes it's a really, really sad situation for everyone involved. I think, A, we need a universal healthcare system. No one should die because they're poor. B, we need a system that doesn't disproportionately hurt women of color. And thirdly, we need a system where men are smart enough to shut up. I could go on for hours in all of those different directions, but I just want to check in and make sure I haven't gotten confused and that I fully answered the question, didn't dodge it.
No, you answered it.
I answered it? Okay, because there's so much to cram in a small space and be clear. And I don't always trust with these important things if I've done that correctly. I think that is the way to go. I think that we've allowed the conversation to be taken away from women, and we've allowed the conversation to be taken by people who are insider trading and who are benefiting from how these decisions are made. If we had universal health care, my father would be alive. Full stop. I know women who have had to have ABs who didn't want to. and they grieve that. I know a lot of different stories about AB and different women in my life, and I don't want to co-write their narrative for them. They say it better than I do. But when you shut up and listen, you kind of learn, let this be taken back by the people. Get out of the way. And you have a lot of people right now trying to control it and get in the way. Get out of the way. Let it happen. Let doctors and their patients do what they need to do.
Okay, thank you. What would you do in Congress to strengthen mental health coverage?
I mean, we're in a depression epidemic, right? We're in an epidemic of feeling lonely. We're in an epidemic of needing community. One of the biggest things you can do for mental health is environmental factors. But recently, both sides have not been so good about funding mental health or funding healthcare in general. I would love to see increased funding in mental health care. You shouldn't be priced out of having someone to talk to. I work as a dental assistant as well. And I say this joke sometimes to my patients because it is true. Because when you're in a dental chair, you're vulnerable. Therapist, bartender, barber, dental assistant. People have told me things in that dental chair that they probably should, right? Like there's a ladder, there's a hierarchy there. I don't have the letters behind my last name, but that's where community comes in. So you need the community. So you can have policies that support community, but then you can also make sure that there is funding for therapists. You can also make sure that therapists are not shackled by debt and it's an attractive industry. You can also make sure you're not doing things environmentally all around that are constantly putting people in a state of stress. Sometimes it's okay to admit I'm depressed or enraged or sad or scared, and it's actually not because I'm doing anything wrong. I'm here. I'm responding to what's near me. And I think the federal government has a say in what's happening near you. And it's okay to point the finger at them and say, stop. So it's a combination of funding, supporting community, but it's also a combination of fighting the right fights, stopping certain oppressions from happening, getting the monkey off the back, getting the strain off the brain. Because as long as you can't live, love, light your way through oppression. You can't live, love, light your way through trauma. There are things that are happening and they're tangible and they're preventable. And the people causing them have names and addresses and jobs. And they don't need to have jobs. At least not this job, not a policy job.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I would do. It's a multi-pronged approach.
Okay. And LGBTQ plus people, especially LGBTQ plus people of color, experience significant health disparities. So how would you address LGBTQ plus healthcare as both a civil rights and public health issue?
Even in a universal healthcare system, let's say we got that wish. Let's say we didn't have to worry about the money. It's all figured out. It's utopian. We would still have to figure that people are going to mess things up. The wrong kind of people are going to start making policy decisions again, or the wrong kind of doctors are not going to know enough about their patients. A very close friend and mentor of mine is a Black trans woman who's over 50. And she has said more than once to people around us, we don't even have the statistical knowledge of how I will age or what I need because so few of us have lived long enough to be studied. We have been so disempowered as a class of people that people don't know how to treat us and be here for us. So part of it is communication and education of the doctors. Part of it as a civil right is making sure that the people who are sitting in front of patients don't view a typical patient, that they're aware of the many different needs of people around them. Part of it is right there in the policy, right in the beginning, trying to put all the safeguards in place so that people aren't taken away from that. But the reality of the answer to that question is that it has to be very intimate. We have to start getting very intimate down to the last person. Our vote counts. Every single person needs to be thought about with these policies. Because if I create this utopian policy, right, this like great thing, everybody loves it, but like one person or one group of people is going to be adversely affected, I don't want that to pass. That's what we're here to do. We have to workshop that. That's why that goes to committee. That's why the states can feel free to legislate on federal policy, so that a state can say, hey, great, love it, doesn't work for us perfectly here, we're gonna have our state assemblies put our own branch on that. That's where the states' rights come in, but people use that also to deny. So we have to kind of worry about that power matrix too. As a civil right and as a health right, we have to really foresee the problems, because we know people are going to try and cause them. And we have to try and show a little bit of extra tenderness to groups of people who haven't been given that, because they don't even have the data for a lot of us in stride the way they need to make equal decisions. And that's directly tethered to the inequality of the last human history. Couldn't find a date on that one. It just keeps going.
Thank you for that. Do we have any questions in the audience? I didn't really see any, but I just, yeah, there's a lot of engagement. Yeah, we're like moving so fast. I'm like, did I miss a question?
Yeah.
I don't know.
Every now and again, I see a word and I'm like, that looks like a sentence. And then I look back up and it's gone. I'm sure there's a couple of good questions. But yeah, there's a lot of movement. There's a lot of hurricanes.
It is.
Cool.
Okay, so I'm going to pass it back to Jazz for rapid fire.
Okay, so Joseph, these are more political in nature, so these require either yes or no or a one-word response. So are you ready?
Yes.
All right. Do you support a total ban on corporate PAC money in congressional races?
Yes.
All right. Yes or no? Should the e-files be released to the public in their entirety?
Yes. Unredacted.
All right. Do you support term limits for members of Congress?
Absolutely.
All right. Yes or no? Is it time to officially abolish ICE?
Yes.
Should the U.S. implement a federal minimum wage of $20 an hour or more?
Yes.
All right. Yes or no? Do you support Medicare for all?
I do. Yes.
All right. Is housing a human right or a market commodity?
It is both, but I believe it's a human right first.
All right. Yes or no? Should members of Congress be banned from trading individual stocks?
Yes, and I believe they should also be banned for at least 2 or 3 years after they've stopped serving.
All right. Do you support the Green New Deal?
I do. I have to reread it again, but I supported it like a year and a half ago when I read it.
All right. If elected, will you join the Congressional Progressive Caucus?
If they want me. Yeah.
All right. So that wraps up my portion of the rapid fire questions. So there's some more down the line. These are more fun. So be on the lookout for that. So let's roll it into talking about infrastructure. I'll pass that back over to Risa.
Okay. Recent federal grants are expanding rail service for Connecticut, but commuter reliability remains a concern. How would you ensure federal funds support service improvements for daily commuters across CT04?
That's a great question. So I ride the Metro North every day, so I see some of it. I would love for... There is the reality that the MTA is technically under the New York state government, even the rails that go into other states. But that doesn't mean that the federal government can't give the state of Connecticut, per se, money to utilize locally that still benefits that other state government. So you have a couple of players here. But speaking from the Connecticut side, I think being able to offer some kind of way station, right? Like a place of rest, a little more improvement on like food and water services. If you're running with your family to New York, right, on a big family trip, and now it's like 9:30 p.m., the next train's in an hour, it might be nice to have different services along the train, in the train, about the train. More charging ports. I mean, planned obsolescence is a thing with these phones, but now everything's on our phones. So what happens when our phone dies? Being able to have maybe extra security at night, especially if we're increasing the amount of workers who are working multiple different types of shifts. Right now, the Metro North Railroad, especially in Connecticut, is a little more 9 to 5. If we increase the amount of industry to the region or from the region, you're going to get a lot more second and third shift, which means a lot more multi-shift trains. So you want to have the support network A, so that the train company's doing good and their employees are doing good, right? They're working extra for us, but also so that those who are working here can travel safely, can stay hydrated, can, be able to have reliable, I would love to increase cell service and Wi-Fi service, because there are times you want to call someone and you can't call them on the train. And let's be honest here, I look a certain way and I can fight, and I don't, you know what I mean? But like if you're, a young woman with a bunch of kids, or, just a young woman at night, you want to be able to call a friend, or you'll be able to call someone to know that there's some level of protection. So there's a couple of little things we could do with that money that could increase the infrastructure on a local level, and that buttresses the MTA's level of funding. From what I understand, the MTA is a mixed private company, I believe. I'm not as well versed in it as I should be, but it is run through the New York State government. So it would probably be a quasi, like, bi-governmental program between the state of Connecticut and the state of New York, probably over some committee or governmental program watching it. That's going to come down, frankly, to, the governor of New York, maybe the mayor of New York City, and a couple local mayors really getting on the horn and thinking really long and hard about what to do. But the funding could be utilized at a local level for sure to increase multi-state benefit, but also quality of life for the people who are riding. You are not spending a small amount of money on these trains. So you want to make sure that there are, safety nets and comforts.
Okay. And projects like the I-95 bridge replacement show federal money is flowing into infrastructure, but aging roads and bridges remain in urgent need. How would you fight for continued federal investment?
So Connecticut is one of those states where we're cash positive. We continually give to the federal government more than we take back. We pay more taxes than we technically receive appropriations from the federal government. So I would use that boon to argue when it comes time for appropriations. I would say, hey, listen, here's the money that's coming for these roads. I've driven these roads. The Merit's backed up. I-95 is backed up. Our buses are trying. You can't really ride a bike everywhere. So what I would do is I would, of course, work with people a little smarter than me, people who are city planners, architects, people who can really do the math on it. Pitch a type of plan and say, listen, here is the hypothetical cost of this. There doesn't need to be any eminent domain or gentrification for a 3-year project that costs X million dollars to expand one lane of a highway, that in about 2 weeks you have more people, so your congestion's the same. But here's a civic plan that can increase traditional modes of transportation, right? Buses, trains, car, like non-car vehicles. A skyway, a secondary thing going over. There are other options that are expensive, but I would leverage that position to say, hey, listen, we've been cash positive for decades. Now it's about time for our infrastructure to get a reinvestment in a way that benefits human life. And the reality is we do have a lot of vehicles here. Even if there's just a highway that's only for buses, even if there's some way to sort of manage, I think 25 years ago, we had 5 times as many cars as our city infrastructure was able to handle. And there's just more people coming in. Like we have I-95, so we want our truckers to come on through and do their deliveries. So we do need a complete overhaul in a way that might be uncomfortable for anyone to pitch. We might need a serious overhaul. So I would use the position that we're consistently cash positive. We're consistently contributing to the union financially. And our citizens deserve it. A lot of our infrastructure is 50, 100 years old.
Yeah. Okay. So let's go ahead and give it to Q, who just came up. Welcome to the conversation, Q. She has a question, so I will let her speak. Go ahead, Q.
Hi, Joseph. I actually, I'm from the Fairfield County. I grew up in Bridgeport, went to Bullard Havens. Yeah, so, and graduated there. I do have a question. Not sure if you answered it or might have came in late, but it's regarding the Remington Arms Factory or in buildings like it. They have sat vacant since I moved there and still sit vacant today. Would you, if elected, would you support federal like brownfield or infrastructure grants to help redevelop the former Remington site in Bridgeport?
Thank you. So I went to University of Bridgeport in 2014 and 2015. I adore Bridgeport. I've seen some of these buildings firsthand, and that's actually where I've gotten a lot of my inspiration for these micro gardens, right? These reinvested areas where locals are able to have their own industries in these former buildings. So yeah, I'm open to all options for some of these buildings. I think people are afraid to show love to some of these communities, and it offends me, frankly. Bridgeport's an incredible town. So I would support anything that helps some of these older buildings find new life. Also, I said earlier about possibly bringing more facilities for filming into Connecticut. I always think of Bridgeport when I think of film. I think those facilities could be great either way, whether it's an agrarian, microcosmic small LLCs, individual business owners perspective, or whether it's bringing in like little offshoots, a little theater here, a sound stage there, a self-tape studio or rehearsal studio or dance studio here. I think these buildings deserve some new life. And I definitely, that would be probably something I did day 1 or 2 in office, is look at the numbers and see what I could do to kind of bring that home.
Okay, yeah, great. I think that also you may have answered my second question in that question a little bit when it comes to more so the workforce, because like I said, I went to Bullard Havens, and then my trade was fashion merchandising and entrepreneurship, and then I was the second to last class to graduate, and then it's no longer there because they figured that a lot of us were moving to New York, clearly the fashion capital of the world, for those jobs. So in using that as an example, I've seen like Connecticut has struggled with like the labor force participation. So what federal policies would you contribute or help, do you think will help maintain young professionals in this state?
That's an excellent question. And I do think that in this state and in our district, right, people will come in as professionals. They'll be rewarded to stay a little, but then they'll leave. And I think that we need to find ways to develop people who are here, support their dreams in staying here. A big anxiety I hear from a lot of youth is that as they grow up, they're not even sure if they're going to be able to live here. Finding the right industry that will allow them to afford to stay here. So the federal programs I would support would not just keep people here who are already coming here because their industry is already welcome, but developing the next industry with people like us, people who are from here, people who want to remain, and allowing those to stay alive. If the school is figuring that, if it's figuring, you know what, we love what we did, whatever, a lot of our students are moving to New York, we're going to leave. Maybe we have some kind of zoning law that says, cool, once a school, always a school. Like if you're going to leave, you need to still stay long enough to pass on these facilities we've built for you to make sure that the next group that comes in to provide an opportunity is there. And maybe it's a local. Maybe a local's like, oh my God, my old school. Wait, in 3 years, I can have the capital for that. They have a 4-year marker. Okay, I'm going to now build the thing. And it empowers a local to step up with a vision better than anyone else would have because they were from there, they were of there, they were born there, they lived there, they loved there. So I think the best thing I could do on a federal level is continually bring the money and power back to the locals. Just drag it away from those corporate types and give it right back to the locals. Because University of Bridgeport is a private school. And one of my bachelor's degrees is the Martial Arts Studies program, which is no longer there. And I believe they stopped investing in it before they sold the school to another college. I don't remember how it merged, but doesn't matter now. But I've seen it. I've seen these beautiful things bloom, especially in Bridgeport, and then they've had their time, and you want them to come back, right? So I think we need a little bit of that federal encouragement to ensure that people don't like use it as an opportunity and then leave. Right? I want the locals to be able to bloom and stay.
Yep, I might definitely agree. And this is my last question because I don't want to take over. But I'm also in March going to get my real estate license in Connecticut. I'm already licensed in Mass, and one of the biggest issues I see with my community and people around me is they're afraid of not being able to afford houses due to our property taxes and other things. So, what would you do to help young professionals stay in Connecticut instead of moving to those lower states who have cheaper housing?
Well, first off, congratulations, because that's really cool. And I've looked into that test, and it's not easy. So, congrats. That's
Thank
a
you.
great achievement. A lot of people have been moving, whether you are a young professional or college student, and you just realize you can live easier elsewhere. Whether you make a ton of money and you say, hey, I can get more bang for my buck elsewhere, and you leave. Whether you're a retiree and you say, I can't really afford to retire here, you don't retire in Connecticut. A lot of people from multiple socioeconomic statuses are deciding to leave. And yeah, you could build another restaurant, but that doesn't make people stay. One of the things I would love to do is to encourage, forgive me, I had like 14 thoughts just rail around at the same time. I would encourage a type of federal level multi-state housing protection, like a tenant's bill of rights or a homeowner's bill, like a bill of rights program. And then each state can then put their laws on it to make sure it befits their culture. I have a friend who recently was talking with real estate. For, I believe, 6 years, she saved up her money. Dental hygienist, she makes good money. Worked her tail off, 35, 36 years old, proud woman, did it all herself, right? She's putting bids on houses and they're not choosing her. And she's like, I had the highest bid. My credit score is immaculate. I have a great job. I'm young. What's the problem? She started realizing she was losing all those bids to couples. Because even though she can't really make a discrimination case, it's a soft rule rather than a hard rule, but a soft rule. They would look at that couple and say, if one of you loses your job, the other has one. And they would ignore her. She does have her first home. She is happy. She broke through the ceiling. But it took a while. Those are the people I want to run for. I want to create a housing, like a tenant's bill of rights, one that doesn't alienate, right? Like young real estate professionals like yourself, one that helps you all work together, because that obviously probably made her real estate agent horrified that she's finding these perfect properties for this woman and can't get this woman a house, right? That makes both of their lives harder. So it supports local industry and industriousness, and also it supports local home ownership. I also think another way to get people to stay kind of tethers back to just not letting bigger corporations own residential housing. A hedge fund should not be able to own a residential property. Full stop. You're an investment company. I get it, whatever, not housing. And I think a couple of those things stacked together will create the kind of market relationship for housing that will liberate all of us to have protected rights, a real fighter's chance, and to know you're not going to get a raw deal. I don't want you, if you're a single hardworking woman, see two couples behind you and just be like, you know what, I'm going to go get lunch. I'm not even going to put in a bed. That's not fair.
Yes, thank you. I mean, I totally agree. Thank you so much for answering my questions. I'm gonna let the ladies
Thank
have
you.
it. Bye, guys.
Thanks for representing Bridgeport.
No problem.
Thank you, Q.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I'm gonna pass it over to Jazz, and the next part is military and veterans. So go ahead, Jazz.
So regarding military and veterans, that is just an ongoing thing that should be a bipartisan thing when it comes to bettering the lives of active military and veterans, of course. But one thing I wanted to dive into regarding this matter is that on a state level, the state legislators in Connecticut have been fighting on trying to increase the funding to homeless shelters in your state because of the rising food and heating costs. But specifically when it comes to on the federal level, I just want to know because I do want to bridge. Let me see, how can I say this? Because I do want to bridge what you've done when it comes to your volunteer work with Operation Gift Cards. How would you use your power on the federal level to prevent privatizations of the VA while ensuring that rural veterans get immediate care?
Absolutely. Law does need to be enforced. Otherwise, it's just words people wrote somewhere. So A, write the right words. As a member of Congress, I could write the right legislation. But then I got to come home. I got to make sure the good people are doing it, right? There's this myth that privatization makes things more efficient. This myth is partially true only because the public good was made less efficient to justify the argument. And then once the privatization is complete, they say, look how efficient it is. Then they charge you triple, and then they cut costs, and now they're more inefficient than when it was a public good. Cycle goes onwards. It's not different with healthcare. When I was a driver for Disabled American Veterans, the DAV, I would take veterans from Walter Reed Military Hospital, which technically is not my district, but when you're from Connecticut, you're not thinking of congressional districts, right? So I would go to Home of the Braves in Bridgeport, and then I'd go to the VA in West Haven, and we'd go up to Branford to do take a vet fishing, or if I wasn't picking up veterans and taking them out of the clinical setting, I would be helping load the trucks to go down to Walter Reed. And I heard it from all sorts of veterans from different wars, the positives or the negatives that they were getting from their VA experience. And so I make it a point when I talk with any veteran from anywhere, I try and figure out what their relationship is with the VA. Because some veterans are like, yep, they're great, they take good care of me, I love my VA. And some don't say that. Some say horror stories. So it is a local level issue. So I can do a lot on the federal level. I can try and create these safeguards. I can try and work with, because I unfortunately didn't get the privilege of serving, right? That I tried to sign my name on the dotted line. I am technically diagnosed with autism, and I am technically diagnosed with asthma. So I fought like a dog to get waivers, but they didn't want me. But I served by serving them, by serving the veterans. That's what I tried to do. And the one thing that remained the same is they all had a different, unique experience, and they were happy to tell you if you were cool about it. From the federal level down to the local, empower them. Empower them to look at that and be like, yeah, that's a dumb idea. You clearly don't know what you're doing. And then I'll say, thanks. I'll admit I don't know what I'm doing, and I fix it. The best way to do this would be to commission not just feedback from veterans, but then from also the hospital staff. Ignore management for like 20 minutes. Get it from everybody but management first. Then you get it from management because they have other numbers. So now you have multiple levels of sociological research to back up any report. The VA is technically in another district, but that doesn't mean that these districts touch. We live in one and work in another. It's a mated set. We really go together, these districts. So I would try and encourage policy that empowers the local, but does not allow for a level of privatization. I do believe that privatization of the actual hospital itself starts to become a profit motive. Now I get it, hospitals are a business, they need to have enough money to function. But I don't want them to profit, because that's not its service as a public good. And I get that, if you're the R&D department for a random company in Norway that makes MRIs, you need to make a profit. I get that. We've bought the MRI, it works, cool. We don't have to now make a profit on that MRI. So it comes down to a couple of little things, things that happen on the ground, things that are not theoretical, things that are pragmatic. And you cannot ignore the local. You can't write a 10-page bill and then say, cool, done, do that, you're good. Right? Because if a veteran from Connecticut, my district, or the adjacent district says, hey, our VA sucks, but someone from Pennsylvania says, this is great. I'm like, cool, I need to look at what they're doing right and what we're doing wrong. And I don't think that they're going to do that in a for-profit privatization.
And also, Connecticut on the state level has expanded the Patriots Landing Program in Rocky Hill, which is doubling the housing units for veterans that are transitioning. But more importantly, on the federal level, There has been some recent VA audits that show gaps in homeless screenings. So, how would you improve housing support for federal programs for veterans to
Well, first,
expound upon on the state
absolutely.
level?
So first off, even beyond the class, right, the protected citizenry class of being a veteran, homelessness is a policy failure. Full stop. If someone is on the street, our community has failed them, or our system has failed them, and it shouldn't happen. Especially with veterans who have made a different set of oaths, a different set of sacrifices. That makes that policy failure a little more of an indictment on who we are as a people. It's a little bit more, not more of a sacrilege, but there's an honesty to it. The thing I would do, and I did see in one of the comments earlier when we were talking about some of the buildings in Bridgeport that could be anything else, industries, they've talked about affordable housing, right? One thing I would do is create safeguard housing where it's not really, it's a public good housing. It's not meant to be a for-profit institution. It's not necessarily a place you like apply for, but it's a place to make sure no one is ever alone or on the street. I do believe we can have safe, clean, free public housing, especially for people, you know, women who are survivors of SA or other things and want to get away and bring the kids and be safe. We have a couple of places like that. We have some good programs like that. I don't want to talk too loudly about them because, of course, you know, operational security for them, but we do have a couple of safe haven institutions like that. But then also creating larger programs where, say, these veterans, all right, I ran into one, he's on the street, I know exactly where you can go. Do you want to go with me? I'll walk you there. A safe place where they never have to be on the street. Some people might say that's communism or socialism or whatever, but we don't have to drag it into an optic. We can just say we have the space, we have the money, no vet should be on the street. No reason he can't have a shower, a shave, a bite to eat, a warm bed. And maybe he's here for a day or a week, or maybe he's here for 3 months because he had a divorce, or maybe she's here until she lands that job. They get that open opportunity to rebuild their life. Because especially with veterans, they go away for 4 years or 8 years or 12 years. When they come back, who of their communities moved on, who's married, who's passed away. Their reintegration is hard, even if you weren't dealing with the military culture civilian transition. You left home and you came back. There's an adjustment there. So I would want to create a safe catch-all that's free. I would want to create a safe catch-all for veterans, but I would also want to create a safe catch-all for civilians. You shouldn't be sleeping under a bridge.
Absolutely. All right, so we do have someone from the audience that wanted to ask you a question. I assume it's regarding veterans. So, hi, Sianka, how are you? Did you have a question or comment for Joseph?
Hey, how you doing?
How are you?
Good evening, ladies. Hey, Joseph. I'm a disabled veteran myself, and I have a question about VISNs. There are like 23 VISNs in the VA. So, do you feel that it should be integrated? Because when I worked at VISN 23 in Minnesota, it was way more advanced than in Massachusetts, which is VISN 1. And you would have thought, as being number one, you would be on top of things. So do you think that the VISN should be integrated, should be talking to each other, should be on the same playing field rather than some playing catch up?
Yeah, I'm going to be very honest in that I don't feel like maybe I'm qualified to answer that. But speaking out of ignorance and in deference to your question, yeah, if you're better than me at what you're doing, I want to learn from you. If we were martial artists and we're sparring and you kick me really hard in the ribs, thank you. You showed me my opening. So I think if we're even able to get these divisions to talk with each other, if you're the top leader of the top division, now we can do conferences where they learn from each other. I'm not sure what it would look like in practice because I'm not a veteran, so I haven't been able to walk into some of these. But I think sharing best practices is always good. I actually see someone just wrote that, right? Even as a private practice dental assistant, I go to conferences or I do continuing education. There's best practices, there's recertifications. Some places might look at some of those divisions and say, cool, you just set the standard of care. That's everybody else's new regs now. They gotta get that up there. They gotta level up. So there could be a way where we increase communication. Maybe it's a merge. I'm not sure what's best, but I see no reason why brilliant people can't merge and bring the best foot forward. If you're a leader of a division and I'm a leader of a division, and your division's 15 times better than me, I want to buy you lunch. I want to learn what you're doing. And maybe some of it's structural. It could be the state, it could be the building. I don't know. But there's no reason not, especially in healthcare, to continually level up. It's like a martial art. It's like a mission. You are constantly supposed to be hungry for the next way to improve the care you provide to your patient. And maybe that's sometimes the difference too between divisions, is maybe one division has that mission. Maybe the others are like, cool, I got a good job. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but in healthcare, you gotta level up. So I don't know. I don't know what the right answer is, but I would love to get the top people in those divisions talking to the other divisions, seeing if we can get some education and best practices going, at least as a starter.
Absolutely, because I worked in telehealth in Vision 23, and then when I got to my husband, he had to relocate because he's in the military too. He's still in there. And when I went to Vision 1, they were so behind that I had to give them contacts and get them up to date, on telehealth, get them up and running. And I feel like as far as the VA is supposed to be the best, everybody should be on the same playing field in that division or in those visions, I personally would say. But thank you for answering my question.
No, thank you for asking. I'm sorry that I don't have like an authoritative answer.
No.
I want to admit my ignorance. I've never walked into one. So I'm
Right.
speaking theoretically.
Yeah,
But
and I
that's
really
where I'd
appreciate
start.
it.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, ladies.
Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and roll it into the rapid fire questions. So we are getting nearing into the time. So I'll hand it over to Risa to talk about rapid fire. These are more fun. So, Risa.
Yeah, these are fun. So, better Stanford pizza, Colony Grill, or Sally's?
All right, I will go with Colony.
Okay. More stressful, a law school final or opening night of a play?
Oh, law school. Every time.
Okay. Best Puerto Rican dish, mofongo or arroz con gandules?
Can I say both? I have attachments to
Nope.
both. That's hard.
Gotta pick one.
All right. Arroz con gandules, because sometimes my abuela, she would put like a pound on the plate, and I felt like I was being disrespectful if I didn't finish it. So I'd finish it, and she'd be like, "You full?" And I'm like, "Yeah." Put another pound on the plate. I'm like, no. So she'd prank me with that. So now I have a lot of warm memories with that. So I'm gonna go with that. But I love mofongo. It's hard not to choose mofongo.
Yeah, that is hard. Yes or no, have you ever practiced your victory speech in the mirror?
No.
No. Better commute Metro North or driving the I-95?
Depends on traffic. I love an open road and some tunes, but I also love not being behind the wheel and have someone else and know there's not going to be an accident. I'll say Metro North for now because I have to take it for law school. But if it's a nice night, moon's out, right? You're going to see some friends, music's on. I-95 is great.
Okay. Favorite acting genre, Shakespearean drama or modern gritty realism?
It's supposed to be rapid fire. I like Shakespearean drama because you can put a lot of comedy in even the biggest drama. I'm a fight guy, right? I do a lot of stage combat. So there's probably a sword or a dagger involved for me, or I get to do a drunken brawl. The gritty realism can be fun, but film fighting's a little bit different. But at least with Shakespeare, I'm probably Under the Stars outside. That's pretty cool.
Okay. And this is the last one. If your life were a movie, would it be an indie drama or a political thriller?
What were the genres?
Indie drama or a political thriller?
A political thriller, but my enemy is the insufficient funds notice and how I'm trying to avoid it.
Okay. All right, that's it on the rapid fire. Thank you.
Thank you. Sorry, I slowed that down. I got to put my numbers up. I got to be faster.
Oh no, you're fine. So we'll go ahead and open it up. If anyone else has a question for Joseph, feel free to request up or just put it in the chat if you don't have the ability to come up and ask a question. But in the meantime, Joseph, we want to tell you thank you once again for joining us tonight. But before you go, what is your final message to voters or your last message ahead of the primaries and election day?
Absolutely. In the state of Connecticut, we have one of the most restrictive voter accesses in the country. I need to get about 2% of the last registered voters to even qualify. I need somewhere over 4,000 or 5,000 signatures. If that wasn't hard enough, they only give me 42 days to do it because hegemonic power does not want to cede hegemonic power. So my last message to voters is this. You do have other options. They want us to be helpless. They want me to feel stupid for trying this. They want me to feel unwise. Maybe I'm not the best person, but maybe I can breach the door. And I'll cede to someone who's better. I believe in primaries. I believe that iron sharpens iron. And I believe that those conversations are incredibly important and that those dialogues actually inform us on the things we are allowed to dream for. I think my district has been confused. It's been sold this lie that we're not allowed to dream, that we're here to be laborers, and if we work hard enough, we'll be millionaires. And we've not really had our place in history, and we've not even had places at our own table. My final message to voters is that they've told us no. They've told us no our whole lives in a million different little violence ways. And we're going to tell them what we want now. And we're going to try and find a way to say yes. And maybe I petition onto the ballot, and maybe I don't win. But no one in Connecticut history has petitioned onto the ballot. Let's flex on them a little. Let's show them our power. Let's show them that we're more than dollar signs and districts and whatever way they can compartmentalize our humanity. Let's show them we're a community. Let's prove it to ourselves even, if we don't believe it. I'm going to at least make myself the fool who's going to try. I'm not embarrassed to do that. I'll bet on you with that. I hope you'll bet on me a little.
Absolutely. So before you go ahead and let everybody know how to continue to follow you, if they would like to volunteer, and how they can contribute to your campaign.
Thank you so much. Right on my TikTok, it's the ballot of JPC for Congress. I don't believe the link goes right to things on TikTok, but my Instagram's the same name. That'll have all my links. All my links goes right to everything else, personal Instagram, couple of other things, legal resources, my campaign website, and you can reach out to me. Right now, I'm my campaign manager. I'm my social media manager. If you email my campaign and you get a response, it's from me. All right. So you're welcome to reach out. I'd love to hear from you. I can filter through foul language, so you could tell me things honestly without fear, and I'll find the truth in it. But if you find that all my links on my Instagram, that will take you everywhere. That will open the library door.
All right. And before you go, we would like to invite you to our next town halls that we have coming up. So our next town hall, we'll be having the candidate Evan Turnage. Evan is running for Mississippi's U.S. Senate seat. I'm sorry, not U.S. Senate. He's running for Mississippi's 2nd Congressional District. That will be at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And then following Evan, we will have Tiffany Baker. Tiffany is running for Texas's Dallas County Judge Criminal Court 1 seat, and that will be at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And finally, I would love to extend an invitation to you, Joseph. So please be on the lookout for your email for our next roundtable discussion. That will consist of candidates just like you that will be up here on the panel, talking about current events of the month or for the last week, and also just bouncing off ideas and policy prescriptions amongst other candidates just like you. So be on the lookout for our email to send you an invite to our candidate roundtable, and that will be this Sunday, February 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you cannot make this one coming up on the 15th, be on the lookout if you could make the March 1st roundtable. So with that being said, I would love to extend another thank you to you, Mr. Joseph, for gracing us with your presence and having this great conversation with us. Thank you, Risa, for joining me to co-moderate tonight. And also the participants in the live. You all make the live what it is, engaging in the conversations, the questions coming up on the panel. All your engagement does not go unnoticed. And last but not least, I want to thank the host, OVC, for hosting this live, and our team in the back end. The hard work and the diligence and the persistence and the blood, sweat, and tears of it all has not gone unnoticed as well. I love to shout out our team. They are awesome, and they build up this moment to see what you see now. From emailing you and campaign managers to rescheduling to designing graphics and video promotions, we do it all. Hey, we have a talented team. So I want to give a special shout out to the OVC team. We do a great job. So before we close out, I would like to remind everybody of our vote counts. We are a nonpartisan movement uniting Americans from all walks of life to empower voters, support candidates of integrity, and ensure that every voice is heard. Through education, outreach, accountability, and action, we are building a stronger democracy. So with one informed vote at a time, please join us because your vote is your power. And until then, have a great night. See you later.